Oh, I think we're live now.
We are.
Yeah,
I
we
think
are
so.
finally live. Awesome.
Yay. Hello,
Welcome to
everybody.
people. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Open Sourcery. It's a live stream hosted by the OSS team. Currently, it's just me and Eric, but normally we also have other people on and sometimes guests. In case you haven't joined, it's a live stream where we just focus on any kind of open source stuff that we have been doing at VGV. So obviously we had the Dart Frog 1.0 release literally last week. So that's the whole theme of this live stream. Me and Eric are going to talk about some of the things that are new and that we have done or maybe becoming will appear in the future of Dart Frog. So that's the team. And as always, we have a crew. They will be monitoring for questions. So if you have any, just send them our way, and the crew will make sure that we will be aware of it and try to answer them as good as we can. And if we can't answer them, well, we'll just try again.
Yeah.
I think I'll start off with something to show, Eric. That's fine.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Let's see. First of all, let me. Of course, now my Visual Studio Code is completely borked. It was working a second ago. There it is. Let me share my screen. Here we go. Perfect. Give it a second. And there it is. So I'm going to show off something that is new in Dartfrog version 1.0 that is not directly a feature of Dartfrog, but it's basically one of the focuses that we had for the version 1 release was developer experience. And this is like a massive developer improvement, and it's the Visual Studio Code extension that we have created for Dartfrog. So you can just find it in the marketplace on the Dartfrog. I already have it installed because you never want anything to go wrong in demos. So I already installed it to be sure. And it comes with a lot of features, and I'm just going to walk through a few of them that are currently the most interesting ones in that sense. And yeah, it's all of this is made by just one member of our team, Alejandro Santiago. It's amazing what he has done in quite a short amount of time. So all
That's
credit
true.
to him on this. Uh, well, I guess I can just start. Like you can install it. I'm not going to show you how to install the extension.
You
But the
probably
best
know
part
that.
of the extension is if you don't have Dartfrog installed, like, oh, I don't have Dartfrog installed, well, that's no problem because you can just do Dartfrog, install CLI, you'll install the CLI, and then you have to restart the terminal probably.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You need to reload the path.
there we go.
There we go.
So we have Dartfrog version 1 installed. Let me hide this away. So if we go to version, I forgot to dash
Dash
it.
dash version.
I should use the autocompletion more. Look,
Yeah.
version 1 of the CLI. Woo! Uh, well, what can we do with this? Well, currently I'm in an empty directory. I have nothing in it, and I want to create a new Dartfrog project. So I'll just do Dartfrog, create project. It'll just give me a pop-up to choose the directory where I want to create it. Obviously, I want to create it in the current one, so I'll just select it. And then, hey, what kind of name do you want? So I'll just call it a solar system. And voila, it's creating a whole Dartfrog project just without even having to touch this the CLI here. That's super sick. That's awesome. It comes with routes, etc. This is just your normal Dartfrog not new, create. It's pretty much the CLI wrapped into the extension, and we can do what we want with it. So what's next? Well, you can also create routes with it. You might have seen it in the command palette just now. So if I normally you would be like, okay, let's create a new route dot, and then you would have to like write this on request and import, etc. That's a bit tedious, so we can just we say let's create a new route. We'll call it planets. So this is basically the path for the API, not the file name. It's just the path to the API that you eventually want to host. So in this case, I'll just call it /planets. And then in the route directory, we have a planets.dart with a nice to-do to remind you that you probably should change something in here. And we can just obviously do whatever we want. In this case, I want to return a list of strings. Like, let's say Pluto is a planet, and that's all the planets I know. Oh yeah, planet Earth.
Pluto is not a planet anymore.
Pluto is still a planet. I'll find
It
it.
is.
So we have our request, and currently the extension does not support running the Dartfrog instance and that kind of stuff. It will come in the next version. It will hook into the Dartfrog daemon, which is a whole backend system that we've developed for extensions and third-party packages to hook into how Dartfrog generates code and how it hosts stuff, so you can connect to like the debug service is called, the Dart VM service, to basically your code. But currently, this version doesn't support it yet, but it's coming. But we can for now just Dartfrog dev. I have to be in the correct directory for that, and it will just serve our code. And obviously, this will just work as expected. We have our response.json, which will be returned if I go to /planets, if I can type. Let me zoom in a bit. See, Pluto and Earth, awesome. This is nothing new. People already knew this worked. That if you've used Dartfrog before, this as expected. But now I also want to have basically routes for every planet in this list. So I'll just go create a new route, and let's say we want to have a route for Pluto. So I want to have the route to be planet/Pluto. I'll just press enter. And as you see here, it basically removed this planets.dart file and created a directory called planets with an index.dart containing my original code, because this is how Dartfrog works. Like, it's file structure based. So index.dart points to /planets, and /planet/Pluto points to Pluto.dart. So now, if I go here and refresh, it still points to the output that I originally created. But now I can go to Pluto, and well, I didn't change the code obviously, but that's basically the user experience that I was talking about, like the developer experience. Instead of like it will just generate a directory and you will have the Pluto.dart file in there, it will make sure that the structure fits what Dartfrog needs or expects. And that way you don't have to basically, I have to copy this, or I forgot to do this, or there is another planets.dart, and now it will throw an error in the dev mode because you have a file with the same name as the directory, all that kind of stuff. You can just just use the command palettes and just not worry about it at all. And if you want to create another one like Earth, you can just go, and it will know, I only have to create the Earth.dart file, and voila, it's created. So that's route creation, which is the simplest form of feature from Dartfrog. But it also already supports middleware creation. So you can just, wherever you are, so in this case, I'm in the Earth.dart file. So if I create a new middleware, it will have the path in it already. So I'll be like, okay, fine. I want a middleware in this part, and it will just create Earth into a directory. And in there, it will have the index.dart again with the content that I already had. I should have changed this to show it a bit better, but trust me, it just copied the input, put it in the index.dart, and we now have the middleware, again, with a really nice to do. So you have a linting error, so you know that you have to implement something here. And that's basically it. It knew that, hey, Earth was a file, but it has to be a middleware. It has to be wrapped inside of a middleware. So we have to create a directory for it, put all the data that we had into the index.dart, and create the middleware. If I, for instance, do it for index.dart, so if I'm on this file and I do new middleware, you'll see it will just say planets. Obviously, I can also change this. So if I change this to Pluto, it will do the same thing it did for Earth, but then for Pluto. And if I want to do it for just planets, it will know, it's already a directory, so just add the middleware file, and you can just continue as you normally would without having to create all the infrastructure yourself. It will just be handled for you. So that's basically what the current version can do. And as you can probably notice, it's really focused on the user experience. Like, obviously, anyone can write code and create files, but like structure and all those tedious things that you have to do in frameworks, that's what we try to solve for you. You don't have to be worrying about like, oh, am I following the right structure, etc. And another good part is the extension can check if you have a current version of the CLI, and will check if the CLI that's installed is compatible with the extension, so that it will know if you either have to update the extension or you will have to update the CLI. If it's the extension, then obviously you can update it in the extension tab of Visual Studio Code. If you want to update it, the CLI, it has an update CLI command for you. You can just run, which will do the same checks and will update to the nearest possible CLI version that this extension supports. Hopefully making your life a lot easier. So that's pretty much it what Dart4 currently can do. So this is the full set of commands that we currently have. A lot more things will come in the near future. Like I mentioned, we'll be able to connect to we'll be able to start up a Dart4 instance from Visual Studio Code, connected with debug options like you normally would. You will be able to put breakpoints and debug it and change values and have hot reload still working within Visual Studio Code, being able to stop it, etc., like you would normally do with any kind of Dart code. So that's in the near future, but that's the extension.
That's pretty cool.
It's all made by one person. So I mean, if there are any questions right now, I can maybe tackle them, but I think from the kitchen. The kitchen is upstairs. This is my office, which isn't done yet. It's still sort of moving. I wish it was a kitchen, then I would have a fridge and I could constantly refill my drinks. But
That's a good way of thinking.
yeah. It is indeed very handy.
Yeah.
I kind of like it the way it's currently structured. Like, it's quite simple to just run these commands and just have it all ready to go. And in the next version, we'll also have some code lancing, meaning you will be able to just run and debug it. And I believe we're also going to, first of all, we're going to do a package for testing, for Dart4 testing. That's something on Eric.
Yeah, that's on the works.
The code generation of routes, etc., could also just generate a default test file for you, maybe optionally. But those are like a few things that we're thinking about to make life just easier. And then nobody can complain about, oh, but then I have to remember writing tests. No, if you create a new route, we'll immediately create a test for you and just have to update the test when you change the route.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a built-in feature in that sense. So if you haven't tried it out yet, I would highly recommend it. We would love to have a lot of feedback on this. It's still a work in progress. I mean, I'm not entirely sure what the current version is. I think it's still version 0, so we are still open to changes and improvements. So please, we would love to have any feedback on it. But yeah, that was my quick demo about the extension. I think you have something to show as well, Eric, right?
I do. So what I'm going to show is not really something that is new that we couldn't do before 1.0, but it's still something that we have been working more and more to make it possible. And I think it's a really cool thing to show for people that works with Dart4 and Flutter as well. So let me just share my screen first. There you go. Awesome. So also it will be funny to do this demo because I don't use VS Code and we just showcase the extension. But well,
we went from using the extension to someone that just never would ever use our extension.
Yeah, that's kind of sad, but anyhow. I'm gonna show a little bit how cool is to and how easy it is to share code, common code between a Dart Frog backend and a Flutter application. So I'm gonna create a new folder here that will be our showcase, our demo. I'm gonna name it Fun Game because, well, I like games.
Zoom in.
I can zoom in more.
Apparently, Sully is not wearing his glasses today, so.
Awesome. So I'm gonna start to. Yeah, he thought this was a kitchen, right? So let's start with the backend. So let's do my Dart Frog create API because this will be an API. So why not name it like this?
Felix asked when we will have NeoVim support.
Yeah, I'm waiting for that as well.
You're waiting. Why don't you just implement it?
Oh, if I ever got a penny for every time I hear this, I'll be rich by now.
If you want NeoVim support, you can just open an issue and other people can thumbs it up, and then we can just.
Yeah. Actually, you can use VS Code extensions on Vim. I just never went to the trouble of figuring that out, of configuring that actually. So I'm gonna do a very, very, very simple demo here. So this game will be super simple. So this will be like a server alternative game. So it means that all the logic of the game is run in the backend. So it's the backend who defines who wins, who loses. And more?
Yeah,
I think it looks great.
My glasses. Yeah, this is good.
Cool. So this game will be super simple. It receives two numbers and says who wins, and the people who win is the player who has the bigger number. So let's do a very quick handler that do this. Request context. Let's dot request dot method http method dot post. And return your post, otherwise we will return if not allow it. So nothing complicated so far. Response status code. Method not allow it. Cool. And then gonna read the body. That request. Oops, this needs to be a future. Same here. There you go. Oh, I don't need to do that. And our body. We have a JSON helper, right? We have JSON helper. String dynamic. Cool. And then let's assume that this body has player one. This will be an integer. Player one value, and the same for player two. And then return oops. So result will be player one. It's not that I want. Oh, copilot. So if player one is bigger than player two, player one, otherwise player two. And this is so big for me, I can't read it. Oh, I'm missing. No, not missing anything.
Yeah, I think you're missing some.
Let me do some line breaks. What is the error? Oh, body.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Mhm.
I almost made the same mistake as well when I was doing the response just now.
Yeah. Oh, actually, we need to check if player 1 is equal player 2. So this is a draw. Draw. Okay, so this is our super complex rule for the game. And if I start it, let me grab another terminal. And if I do a CRL, pass the header, content type, application JSON, and our body.
I think you're the first person that I've ever met that knows how to do a call command on top of that.
Come on, that's so is. So let's say player 1 is 1, player 2 is 2, because why not? And then our URL, localhost 88. And yay, player 2 won, because I passed 2 for player 2. If I pass 1 for player 2, draw. Oh, this is so great game mechanics. And I want to say if player 2 is also winning, player 1 is winning.
You add
Yay.
sections. This is a bummer of a game. People will download it and play it.
Yeah, this is the best game ever. So let's make the front end for that. I'm gonna create a Flutter app here. Very good, create.
Yeah, I was about to say using command.
Client, and give it a moment.
Few moments later. That's really beautiful. CLI output.
Yeah, because it's small, so
That's even better.
that's true. Awesome. Biggie. Yeah, so let's just change our counter to be the game. So I'm gonna make this qubit to generate 2 random numbers, one for player 1, one for player 2, call the API display the result. So I'm gonna rename this to be game qubit. Game qubit, beautiful. Game qubit, game qubit. Now in the stage. So our class, this is part of game qubit.art. Just boilerplate code, nothing new here, I hope. Cool. So our game will be just 200 numbers and the result of the game. So game state, final int player 1 value, final int player 2 value, final string result. This should be an enum eventually, but just for make this quickly, let's make just a string. That's what we're going to read from the server. All the variables here. Let's add actable to this. Actable. Oh my god, actable. Extends actable. This is true. And we have a beautiful state. So let's change our GameCube bit. Oh, also we need a status like it's loading or not, because like I mentioned, this will be a server alternative game, so we need to make a call. So let's just make a quick canon here. Instate status. Let's just put initial. Let's keep the failure, because who knows what can happen in a request. And then, but we don't want to init this here.
The profile is a bit too eager.
Yeah. Status. Let's format this. Cool. So now our game state will be, let's put like 0, 0, draw, and game state.initial. Just a handle initial state. This needs to be this can be const, don't need to, it should be. Yay.
Ooh.
Then let's make our method. So I'm gonna make a method called play. And we are going to need a handle here, because we're going to run a handle value for play run play 2. Still waiting for the good handle library. Before that happens, I'm gonna keep using the math one.
I'll work on that, no worries.
Thank you. So I have the 2 values, then I'll have to do the request. So for that, I'm gonna add the HTTP library to our code. Then I'm gonna import it here, because I want to give a prefix to it. Awesome. So our response will be http.post. Yes. This should be injected to allow better testing, but just for the sake of demonstration, I'm going to just put localhost here. And our body, yes, that's pretty much it.
Shouldn't those be...
Oh, we don't have this, not tree string, because this should be our int. All right, HTTP receives an URI.parse. There we go. Oh, this should be a sync. In a future void. Cool. And this seems correct. And then if the result, the response dot status code http status dot okay, we are gonna get JSON decode response dot body result, and then I'm gonna emit. Oh, before we should emit a loading, right? Let's make a copy with game state copy with Copilot. Yes, thank you. So before we do the request, we do a emit state.copy with your status. Game state is loading. There we go. Add string. Cool beans. Oops, I deleted the wrong thing. And if you got a different status that is not okay, this means that you got an error.
Yeah.
And we just do a state emit with failure. Just sure, what is this complaining? Oh, okay, so just put a name here. Let me format this. Oh, it's just because it's too big, the font. Okay, that's better. Yeah. Okay, now this should be the code for our qubit. If I didn't did anything wrong, let's change our view. Let's rename this to counter the game page as well. Game page.
While you do that, Lucas Goldner has a question. How good is
Yes.
Dartfog for WebSocket stuff? Well, I would say it's pretty good for WebSocket stuff because he has support for it.
Yeah.
Called Dartfog WebSocket, which basically makes integrating WebSockets with Dartfog a breeze. Like it's as simple as just adding it, writing some WebSocket handlers, and your WebSocket is open and ready to go.
Indeed. And it's also worth mentioning that we use WebSockets with Dartfrog on IOFlip. We use that to handle the presence of a player, to verify if a player left the match or not. And it worked very good.
So it has been proven in production. Woo.
Yes. So let's remove the app bar. We don't want this as well. And I'm going to keep just one floating action button. Let's change this button, and here will be
We
play.
really are making a gambling game, aren't we?
What?
We really are making a gambling game, and then they can, with a microtransaction, buy more luck.
Yes.
It won't do anything. It will still be pure random, but then we'll just get money out of it.
Cool. So here we just need to change this a little bit to show the everything, I guess, right? So I need to show the values for player one. So let's make this actually a column.
Yep.
And for each thing is gonna be its own text. So state dot player one value. And let's make a player one here.
Yeah, because all the values are in the state, you just see it update progressively whenever you.
Yeah, each time you press the play button. And the result. And in addition to that, we can, if states dot result equals state dot loading, I'm going to instead of return a circular.
Shouldn't that be state.status? Right?
Sorry?
Shouldn't that be state.status?
Yes. Thank you. And if it is a failure, we're gonna just what? Oh, I forgot this. Oopsie. That's great UI, right?
Yeah, it's perfect.
And I probably just need to change the bootstrap. Oh no, the app. Because we named this.
Okay.
If you didn't miss anything, that should be it. Oh yes. Main development.
So then all the boilerplate is set up for the next stage, basically.
Yes. Basically.
We do everything live on this live stream, no preparations. That way people can experience the full.
Oh, this is very big, but that's fine. And then let's do a play. And oh, it failed.
Oh?
Interesting. Oh no, the server is up.
Yeah, the server is still.
Oh, we have. Okay, so but we should have seen the oopsie error, and I know why this didn't happen.
It's because we didn't do a try catch.
Yes.
Yeah, we just did an if else, but like yeah, it could also throw.
Yeah. And it's a good practice. Always good to add this to the observable. Cool.
Because otherwise it gets lost.
Indeed. So we're gonna still have the error. Let me clear this.
Now we can see what the error is.
But yeah, because okay, this is ugly, but let's just do this so you can see the error. Ta-da. Expect value of strings, but got one of int.
Ooh. Are the player values? No, those are integers because they're random.
Yeah. Oh,
Maybe.
should I do a int here?
No, because they're already integers. Maybe the result is not what you expect it to be. The body.
Here.
Yeah. No, I mean the body, the response body.
Yeah. True.
That's the only place I could think. Yeah, it's always love live demoing things and debugging them.
Our body. No, didn't even got to the body.
What?
Oh, player one, player two.
So they should be playing. Yeah.
So the problem was on the back end. No.
Gotcha. Fun times.
Fun.
Oh, next error.
Is the request being made?
Yeah, you should just filter it down to. Oh.
The request not even being made.
Did you change something you shouldn't have changed?
I don't think so. Our game state. Which is the line that is happening?
JSON parsing still uses player one, says Julio. I might pronounce that wrong. Sorry for that. So where we are parsing it might still be incorrect, but then we are still doing the request, right?
Yeah, the request not.
Oh, we are not encoding it at all. Yep.
Yes. And also, since we're doing this, let's put the header.
That is the good practice. It's not required per se for what we wrote, but it's always good practice. Correct content header.
Yes, now it failed, but it failed because of cars, which makes sense because we have not configured cars.
Ports.
Yeah. So good thing is that we have recent wrote some documentation for that, which we can lean on. So it's on advanced handling cars. Awesome. We just need to add this little fellow here. This
If anyone is curious about these docs, I'm pretty sure the crew will share the link in the chat in a bit. For now, we're just going to copy it and not go in depth into it. Yeah, the docs for PGV.dev has all the docs ready to go.
Yeah. Let's create a middlewares folder in your lib. Cars.dart. Oh no, sorry, this is direct what I should put in the middlewares of the route.
If you had the Visual Studio Code IDE and the extension, you could have just...
Don't judge me. And then I need to let me copy the import from the docs because anyways. There you go. But then I need to put since we're working in development, this every time I run, it will be a new URL. I'm gonna just put this.
Which basically allows any kind of domain.
Any URL. Let's get the server again. No, our API again. Up. Close this. Don't need anymore. Let's do a reload just for the sake of why not. And yay! Far draw. This is too big now. Okay.
You should take off
awesome.
Your glasses. That helps.
What?
You should take off your glasses because that's why we had to zoom in for me and Sally.
Okay. Cool. So also we have again, there is nothing new to show here. I haven't shown any code here. But this is a good base for trying to a good foundation to show why code sharing could be good. So imagine, for example, this is super fast because I'm running everything locally, so everything's a local request. But just for the sake of showing this, let's force our request here to be slow. So I'm gonna make this wait for 1 second. Now every time we play, we have the loading and takes a while. It kind of sucks because it's a super simple game. We don't want to have latency. So one thing that we could try here is to use optimistic Y, where the client still does not, it's still the server that is who do the logic, but the Y also knows how to do the logic and can predict what the response will be from the server and use that to show better user experience to the user, because since it can predict, you can already show things to the user before the request is done.
Yeah.
So
basically deterministic gameplay.
Yeah. So basically here I'm gonna create a new package. So for now, Dart Frog needs to have all its internal package inside its own folder. It's a limitation that we have right now, so that's why I'm gonna create on the API this, gonna create a packages folder inside it. But also worth noting that we are working to remove this limitation, so very soon this will not be necessary. Very good. Create Dart package, and I'm gonna just create this as game logic. I don't know. It's a good name. Let's go into it. And now, zoom. Let's just create a method that's called calculate. This is int. I'm gonna copy this ternary here, because this is our logic. Oh, dear God. Really, oh my God. I keep hitting the wrong button.
Get for using Vim.
There you go. So now we have our logic in a single place. Super complicated logic of the game. Awesome. This is it. That's what we need for this. Let's go back to the API.
All the boilerplate done.
And then this is gonna depend on our game logic. Packages, game logic. It needs to be in alphabetic order. Cubings, and then here in our we are going to just get it. Instance, and the result is now gamelogic.calculate player 1 value, player 2 value. Yes, what is wrong here? Oh, I need to restart the server because I don't need dependence. This could be const. Cool beans. And now if I just run the game, the result will be the same. We just extracted the logic to a common patch, so we're not bother running there. So, because the result will be exactly the same. But now in our qubit, let's actually first put the dependence here. F here, logic. So path will be API. Oh no, it's
one back.
Dot game logic. So now our game has the game logic. And now we can, in our qubit, yeah, here. We don't need to await these anymore. This, like we can move this to unweighted, for example, or unweighted. Put it in here. So, cool. Let's put this here now. Let's move this here. So, but now we don't need, to await the server to be done to emit the results. So we can just get our game logic here. Player 1 value, we already have this variable here because we calculated result. Yeah, but it's calculate two values.
And we should also update the status then?
Sorry?
Should we also update the status because we currently have the loading, or do you want to remove that in the widget?
Yeah, so I'm gonna change that because I think that we should still show a loading, but it should not block the Y, for example. So you could show it in the button that we click. Yeah, exactly. So when the response got to us, we can just print it again because it should be the same, should change anything, but just in a case something happens, we should just make sure it's the one that came from the server is the one that we got. And now on our game, let's do that change. So here, let's change this. We don't need this anymore. But here. So this is gonna be inside actually this. Let's wrap in a block builder. Game qubit, game state, and state.status equals game state.loading. Then it's oh, actually it's not we need this before because I'm also a circular person indicator as a child of the float action button and not as a different icon. Yeah. State.stat. If it's loading, circular progress indicator. Otherwise, an icon and const. Always put const when you can. I think that's it, right?
We did lose a bit of error tracking because we are now not away from the future. We could catch it theoretically, but that's like implementation details, which
there you go.
doesn't really matter.
Yeah,
Just
but
want to point that out.
yeah, true. But I mean, I could just write those catching here and expand this to show. But the point is that now ROI is optimistic and the response instant. Is you click, you have the response, but the service also calculated the real value in the in the background. So we have a good user experience, and the game logic is all in a single package. So everything that we change in the game logic automatically reflected in the client in the server, and that's the all this code that I did was to show this, to try to show you the value of sharing code between client and backend and how easy it is to do with Flutter and Dartfrog. That's all.
And as you mentioned, in the next release of Dartfrog, the CLI, the production build will also be allowing external dependencies to be outside of whatever the Dartfrog
yes
is, which will allow people to just have a more global package because currently it lived in the API directory.
Yes, pretty much, because like right now, the structure of our project is this. So we have the API, we have the client, the API has its packages, but the client depends on a package from the API, which can be which is not a problem really, it's just something that you have to get used with, but at the same time, it's something a little bit confusing, right? Ideally, we should have a package here, and then game logic would be here instead, and then this is you get it. This should be a folder of the project, and then the client, the API would depend on this. And this is something not possible right now, but we already have a PR up to address that, and hopefully, a couple of weeks maybe we'll have that fixed in a new release.
Exciting.
Awesome.
We got a question from Lucas Goldner again. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing the last name correctly, so I assume this is correct. I saw on the roadmap that the API documentation generation, that's a mouthful, is on the list. Do you know how that is going or no news yet? I know how that is going. It hasn't gone any further. But it is still obviously on the list because we haven't removed it. But it requires us to be able to basically parse all the information, create like kind of a Swagger open API kind of output from it, and based on that, we can do whatever code or documentation generation we want. And that's also where the Dartfrog daemon is basically kind of coming in, because we're trying to see if we can use that to get more developer events in it as well. So something like a code gen packaged for Dartfrog could hook into that to know at which state the application is building and that kind of stuff to generate extra things, including like an OpenAPI output or whatever people would want to use then. So we're trying to open up the system in such a sense that we can use it for the features that we want for code generation and whatever kind of generation, but also that other people could make third-party packages that they can do it as well for, like the Dart Edge from Infotaste, for instance, needs to change some of the output, but there's no way for them to currently detect or hook into it to change anything. So those kind of ideas would then become feasible with the Dartfrog daemon. So that's still an ongoing process.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have any more questions? Because we love to answer questions. Well, we don't like to answer difficult questions. At least I don't, because I always get scared that I don't know the correct answer. It's always scary. Because if not, I could maybe. We don't have much time left, I think, because you also had to leave a bit earlier, right, Eric?
Yeah, I think we're coming to 1 hour, right? So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we can always do it later on another live stream if we have more interesting things to share, obviously. I mean, by the way, thanks for our crew for giving us the questions on screen every time and making sure that our screen sharing is in the end.
Yes,
So it
super
makes our
helpful.
life a lot easier. We just have to focus on the live stream itself. So big round of applause. Woo!
All
And
right.
yeah, as always, the Dart Frog documentation and everything we just showed can be found on dartfrog.vgv.dev. That's basically our open source hub. And
Mhm.
yeah, I was about to mention it. We also have an article about the version 1 release and everything that's new and shiny. So if you haven't read that yet, well, I highly recommend going into that. It shows a lot more of the things that we've been doing and also
Yep.
our future plans. So the road yet to walk, right? Of the roadmap. Yeah, I think that's it then.
That's it. Yeah.
Thanks for joining. Hope
Thank
you
you,
all
everybody.
enjoyed